It is the 15th of September, 2020. Wake the baby, call the neighbors. It's time for another Calvary briefing. Thanks so much for watching today. I have some information and a challenge for you, and so I want to jump right into the book of Philippians. And we read this in chapter 1, verses 12 to 14. I want you to know, brothers, this is Paul writing, that what has happened to me has really served to advance the gospel, so that it has become known throughout the whole imperial guard and to all the rest that my imprisonment is for Christ. And most of the brothers, having become confident in the Lord by my imprisonment, are much more bold to speak the word without fear. In these verses written to the church in Philippi, Paul let his dear friends know that there was this bad news in his life. He was in jail. He was a prisoner. But there was more good news than there was bad news. First of all, he was able to preach the gospel to those guarding him. And so this group of prison guards, who probably wouldn't have been out listening to Paul preaching in public, were able to hear the gospel because Paul was in jail. And then secondly, because that word got out, more people were courageous in their speaking the gospel because they saw what God was doing through Paul. Isn't that the way that God works? Circumstances that seem to challenge the gospel under the hand of God actually do the exact opposite. They actually help the gospel move forward. I don't need to tell you today that the church is challenged. I have been saddened by what I have seen happening to the church in the United States of America in 2020. I've been especially saddened by what I've seen happening in the lives of my brothers and sisters in Christ in California. Churches are being fined by the government as they simply meet together in that state. One church refusing to not meet together is actually having a lease canceled on their parking lot, which they have held since 1975. Now, we here in Colorado and we at Calvary have our limitations as well. We can only have 76 people inside our facility at one time. We have to wear masks and we have to be distanced from one another. However, we can meet in person. It's important for God's people to meet in person. Zoom meetings are okay, but they're not ideal. It struck me this weekend that very large churches in our area are simply unable to gather together. And there are times that we have benefited from the ministry of larger churches in the Denver metropolitan area. We have been able to be participants in conferences or concerts or special presentations from other churches. But right now they can't meet. But we can. And I am calling on you to pray about and to participate in a movement of God here at Calvary Church. Starting this Sunday, we will have 2 worship experiences, one at 9:30 and one at 11 a.m. A question might come to you, why? Well, number one, because we have started to exceed the number of people that we are allowed to have indoors. And right now, that number is able to be totally devoted to indoor worship because we have 20 to 30 people outside. And very soon, if our weather changes, we need to bring those people inside. And so we are starting this weekend to have 2 worship celebrations, one at 9:30, one at 11. What can you do? Get the word out. We are going to start putting this on our church sign, and we're going to be letting people know that we have in-person gatherings at Calvary Church on Sunday mornings, once at 9:30 and once at 11. Come. Cases are low in our county. We're taking every precaution that we're told to by the Colorado Department of Health. Also, if you do not have children or grandchildren or nieces and nephews that you are bringing with you, please consider shifting your worship attendance to 11 a.m. as right now we have children's ministry offered at the 9:30 hour. If you have children, please seek to come at 9:30. We would love to be a part of discipling and training your children in the things of God. Also, we would really like to have somewhere between 5 and 10 slots available at each service, so that if someone is driving by and sees the availability of our service, we would have room for people who would want to come and have an in-person worship experience. Finally, please continue to make reservations through phone, email, or texts each week. And as I said, as many people as possible who could shift to the 11 o'clock service to open up as much space as we can possibly have for families with children at 9:30 would just be fantastic. I look at the book of Philippians and I think of these challenging times that we have, and I think of the opportunity that we have because we can meet in person, we can gather together. And I was thinking of Paul's words in the 2nd chapter of Philippians, where he says, "So if there's any encouragement in Christ, any comfort from love, any participation in the Spirit, any affection and sympathy, complete my joy by being of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and of one mind. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves." Calvary Church, I challenge you, let's take this opportunity that we have and let's reach out and let's serve our community, because we can meet together. We can have in-person worship gatherings at this time. Please pray. Please take this challenge and this information seriously for the glory of God. Have a great week.